Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am back for part three of my series. Today, part three is going to be on the topic of video games. Yeah, you guessed it, that's right. Um, a lot of people play video games when they grow up and stuff, and they grow out of them. I pretty much had a period kind of like that. I would say from like 15 years old to 23 where I didn't play much. And then I got back into it, in my mid 20s, I got back into playing video games. And it kind of changed when I was a kid. To be honest, I like playing sports games and stuff like that. And not to say that I don't anymore, but like that was my main thing. That was my main squeeze with video games when I was younger. I would play Madden, NBA 2K, 2K everything every year when it kept coming out. It was mostly basketball and football. But you could have guessed that. And from the previous video. And I don't know, I would say nowadays I still like that, but I'm more into like shooting games and even more than that, RPGs. So yeah, role playing games. Yeah, so I guess I got a little bit of nerd in me. I guess, I'm 10% nerd. I'll roll with it though. I like it. Role playing games are so awesome. You get to play as a character, and you build your stats and your attack, your defense, and everything. So it gives you like this feeling like you want to accomplish this thing. As you're going through the game, you're advancing, obviously, how most games are. But then you also have this thing like, oh, I want to build all these stats because I want my guy to be the best. And then you start training other people too. There's role-playing games and like RPGs. Then there's action RPGs, which I really like. It's more so like right when you run into enemies, you can just kind of actually fight them and beat them up right then and there. You don't have to go to like attack, defense, magic, and stuff like that. A good example of that is like Gauntlet Legends, and then Gauntlet Legends Dark Legacy for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, I believe. But then the original Gauntlet Legends for Nintendo 64, that's one of my favorite games, dude, hands down. I just replay it all the time. And then obviously I'll put it down for like, and I'll come back to it like a year and a half or 2 years later, and I'll stop rocking it again. I used to play it on the N64. But as far as that goes, so when I was growing up, I played a lot of the systems. I ended up having Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 through 4, eventually, Xbox 360. I've never had an Xbox One, believe it or not, so I'm sure it's just as good as the PS4. It's just, I just decided to go with that. What are some of the other ones? Atari. I had Atari at one point because it was from my uncle or my aunt or something like that. They had it. Then we found it one day at the house. This was like 10, 12 years ago, and I was like, oh my god. So I even got to play a little bit of that, see how that was. But I don't know. So the Nintendo Switch, the whole Nintendo series as well. The only things I didn't have for video games at one point in my life, the only two systems that I haven't owned ever is the Sega Dreamcast or whatever, Dreamcast, and original Nintendo, the like OG Nintendo, you know what I mean? Not Super Nintendo, the very first one, okay? Which had like OG Mario type stuff in it. So I went over all that stuff, I also got some things right here. I'm going to try to just tilt it. So, I play games like these types of games. Donkey Kong, the Pokemon one, Super Smash Brothers, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Digimon game, The Last of Us, Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. And as you can see, those main two things that I play now are PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Oh, voila. So, I don't know. I was just talking about different interests and everything like that. I figured I should definitely bring up video games because a lot of people have familiarities or similarities and stuff, amongst one another. And if anybody can relate to, if anybody's played any of these, I've beat all of them except for the Zelda game, like Awakening, whatever, for the Switch. I've never beat that one. I just barely started playing it. But all the other ones I've gone through. Oh, and the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or whatever. I'm like 70% of my way through that. But I know like I can get through that. It's just the Link game's giving me a little bit of trouble. But oh man. So I hope everybody's like staying sane during this mess, dude. Because like I'm getting a little cooped up myself. I'm getting a little hyped and stuff, and I don't know, a little stir crazy and whatnot. But just try to stay grounded. Find something to occupy your mind, something to do inside. A lot of people are like, I know it sounds like coloring. I know it's funny, but like drawing, coloring, anything artistic. I saw some post where, like some celebrity, I forget who it was, they were talking briefly upon they think that good things can come out of what's going on right now because people will be more in tune with themselves, and they feel as though artistic ability is going to increase amongst everyone, you know what I mean? And she thinks it's going to be a big surplus of art and whatnot. And it's pretty cool to look at it like that, because it's very easy to be pessimistic. It's very easy to join everybody else and act like everybody else, But to be like a lone wolf, dude, and just do your own thing and walk your own path, hey, man, like it feels invigorating. It feels empowering, Damn, just don't conform, you know what I mean? I'm not saying do everything different just to be like, yeah, look, I'm different. Like, no, dude, don't force it. Just go throughout life the way you would, dude, because it's your life. I don't like, oh man, I couldn't imagine because, but you know what? Everybody stay in a great mood, and I don't know. That's about it for now. I'll see you guys in a little bit for part 4. So until then, stay safe. Something, something, and something, something. Peace.